Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name is Zselyke and this is video 3 of a series that I did together with my friend Céline where we talk about lead generation on Google Ads. In the first video we talked more in general about what is lead generation on Google Ads, how does it work. In the second video we talked about it more specifically using search and search extensions. And in this video number 3 we're gonna be talking more extensively about generating leads using YouTube and discovery ads. So thank you so much for being here and I hope you will find this super useful. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys, we are back today with Céline talking about lead generation on Google Ads. Today we're diving into lead generation on video and discovery. So thank you for being back with me, Céline. Hi.
Hello, hi again.
All right, so let's jump straight into it. Can you tell us a little bit about how lead form ads on YouTube and discovery are different from normal YouTube and discovery ads?
Sure, so the first thing to know is that you would use YouTube or discovery in order to generate awareness. So they are naturally not platforms to use if you want to generate leads and to increase your conversions. However, now that you have the lead form feature added, you can reach a lot of users as well as increase your lead volumes. So you get to have the best of both worlds somehow. You also have the option of having the pre-filled forms for the users, so it's minimal effort for them, which means that they convert easier and faster. And also, unlike search ads, you get to use different creatives, different images, different videos. So you get to be very creative in testing what works best for you and for your business.
That sounds really cool. And what's your experience with using these in YouTube specifically?
I got very good video results. So the cost per view was very cheap. The completion rate was very high. Even the view rate was really good. However, in terms of leads, which is what this format is for, the volumes were very low and the cost per lead was very, very high. So in my experience, I wouldn't use lead formats on YouTube, at least not for a short campaign. Usually conversion and lead campaigns, they require a longer period of results gathering, which means that it's best for an always-on format. But if you just want a tactical campaign, then I wouldn't recommend lead formats on YouTube for that.
I wanted to mention one thing that I think it would be important to highlight, that especially for YouTube and discovery, you need to add like a very strong call to action, because it's just like, oh, sign up because we're cool, then no one's gonna sign up. But if it's like we're launching a pre-sale and only the first 100 get this or something like this, so there has to be a very clear call to action on discovery and YouTube and things like this, because in these instances you're not specifically searching for a solution, right? In search ads, I think it's more obvious that you already have this intent, but when you're just browsing the internet, I think it's increasingly important that you have a clear call to action.
Exactly. And search, you already know that people are looking for you. Even if it's generic, they're looking for a product that you're offering. But for YouTube and discovery, people are just there browsing, watching their videos, living their lives. They don't want to see ads. People, especially now in the last 10 years, have been exposed to so many ads that as soon as they see that there's an ad somewhere, they just skip. They want to look away. They don't want to see your ad. So you need to make sure that your creative is very nice and appealing, and it makes people want to look at what you have to offer. So again, a very strong call to action to create this sense of, okay, I really need to not miss this opportunity because I might not have it anymore. Again, in search, you're looking for something. In YouTube, if you skip the ad and then you realize, oh, I wanted that, but I forgot the name of the company or the product, you can't find it anymore, you might miss it. So you need to really create this sensation that, okay, I need to really pay attention and listen to what the advertiser has to say.
That definitely has happened to me, that I'm watching a YouTube video and just by default I click away because that's the first instinct. And then it's like, damn, like I really wanted to see what they were all about, and then it's gone. And then I'm just hoping that they will target me as a remarketing audience somehow.
Exactly. Think before you skip.
There you go. Okay, and diving a little bit deeper into some of the requirements, because as mentioned earlier, not everyone is eligible to run these YouTube lead generation ads.
Exactly. So in order to run lead formats on YouTube, at least currently, so in November 2020, you still need to have a minimum spend in your YouTube account of $50K, so $50,000. It's not for everyone, it's really only for big advertisers. We're not sure if this will change in the future. I guess that in the next year or two, it should be available to more advertisers, but at the moment it's very limited to big advertisers. Another requirement as well is that your creatives and your company and product or whatever you're advertising has nothing to do with anything that could be considered by YouTube or Google in general as a sensitive content, whether it's drugs or violence or anything sexual or political or religious or anything that could be considered as sensitive, let's say. So if you want to advertise cars, it's fine. If you want to advertise beauty products, it's fine, but for medication, it will be a bit harder. And there's other examples like that. So they have an extensive list of stuff that you cannot advertise. The link will be in the description.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put it in the description. I had recently a kind of a bad experience with Google with a client who accepts payments with cryptocurrency. And it's an interesting feature for a client, right? But at the same time, anything that mentions cryptocurrency is a trigger or a red flag for Google Ads, because in general, they don't allow you to advertise cryptocurrency-based platforms because it's a type of financial entity that is not allowed because it can generate false hopes, or you put your money into something that you don't necessarily understand, so it's just not allowed to advertise. But this client, it just sells a product, it's an e-commerce, but because they also accept cryptocurrencies, they are getting constantly flagged. So I was getting 3 times flagged within 1 month, and I every single time I message the support like, hey, like this happened again, like like we're cool, we talked before, and they always tell me that yeah, now it's good, you won't get flagged again, and then 2 days later it happens again.
I mean, it's a very big company working with very big advertisers. You want to make sure that it's a safe platform for both advertisers and users. So anything that could potentially trigger something negative. I mean, I remember one of the clients we worked on with Zselyke at our previous role sold products with very questionable names. And obviously, sometimes the name would include bomb, as in this is the bomb, but obviously bomb is not a good word to advertise. And there's many other examples like that that could stop you from advertising or could be flagged by Google. So think about it when naming your products. Think of something that could not be misleading in any way.
All right, so can you tell us also a little bit more about the discovery ads and what's your experience with those?
Yeah, so there's 2 things. There's the discovery ads, which appear on YouTube, Gmail, and Google Discover. And there's the discovery lead form ads, which only appear in Gmail. Why did they keep discovery? I don't know. Maybe in the future they will show them in other platforms, but at the moment they're only available in Gmail. And they basically look exactly like Gmail ads. You see the email, but in your promotions tab, you click on it, you open it, you see your headline, you see the creative, you see the description, and then you have the lead form, which again could be pre-filled. And for the user, it's just very simple. Just click on OK, accept the data protection policy, and then send the leads, and the lead is collected by Google. So it's exactly the same process as for YouTube, as for search. My experience with them, it's very good. It's very surprisingly very good. In Gmail, I remember that the results were usually not great. We would generate a lot of people clicking to open the ad. I'm guessing a lot of people did it by mistake because again, the ad looks pretty much like any email.
Yeah.
So you click on it, but then you see it's an ad and you bounce. So you close it. But we drove quite a good amount of website traffic, but very low conversion volumes. So I was really curious to see how the discovery lead form ads, so Gmail lead form ads in the end, would perform. And we actually drove a fair amount of leads. We got very high volumes of completed forms, but then the actual lead was lower, but it was still much better than whatever we had before.
So my client was doing.
Yeah, so it served the purpose of awareness because a lot of people opened the ads, and we also generated quite a fair amount of leads in the end. So my client was happy, and we continued running this on the longer term. So overall, the discovery lead formats are approved.
That's good to hear. So now that we have talked about all of this, would you mind showing us how to actually set these up? I know it might be interesting for a lot of people because, as said before, not everyone necessarily has access to create these ads. So I think it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, sure, definitely. All right. So in this case, let's take the example of YouTube lead format. So we just create a new campaign. And these are the different options that we have. So in our case, we said we want to generate leads. And then we want this to be a YouTube campaign. So we would click on video. And then here the system is understanding that we want to drive conversion. So this is what we want. So we click on OK. And then we just create an example YouTube lead form ads. And here we will see the form. So again, in some cases, you have to be whitelisted. In others, it will appear automatically. But this is what I see. And here, basically, I have to create my ad, not my ad, my form. So business name, example, and then I can choose my call to action. So here we have a lot of different options. So Zselyke, you choose an example. What do we want to advertise here?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Okay.
So it looks like for now, we're not allowed to create a custom call to action, right?
We are not. So it's still Google that decides which are our options. So the headline, this is a headline.
Perfect.
And this is a description. So here we would see the headline, the company name, so the business name, and here we would see the description. The description can be up to 200 characters, so try and add as much detail as possible, but be very relevant. So don't tell users about your day, tell them all the benefits of your product and why they should fill in their data and trust you with their data. So here you want to know what you want from the user. As we said in the first video, you don't want to ask too much from the users at first because it's just weird. And also you just want to find a way to establish a quick direct contact. So in this case, either you do full name. I would recommend doing first name and last name because I've seen many times that when you click on full name, people will just put one name or a nickname. So I would usually go for first name and last name. So there's a higher chance that it's real data. And then you choose, how do you want to contact them? By email, by phone, by post? Do you want to contact them on their house email or on their personal email, on their company email? So you get to choose what information you want from here. In my case, we always ask for the phone number because then the department that collects the data will be a call center. So they just need the name and the phone number in order to contact the person.
I guess it's good to highlight that, as mentioned in the form there, all fields are required. So the more things you add, I think the more likely people are to drop out because they just won't be bothered to fill in all this information. I guess especially if you ask for a job title or work, unless you actually need it, because this is also a pre-fillable or like auto-fillable form. Usually these are not things that are saved in your information. So this is like extra effort to fill these in. So I think the more things you add, the more likely are people to drop out.
Exactly. So again, just the bare minimum to start with, and after you can ask whatever you want. If this is too little for you, if maybe you want to ask people a specific question, you can do it. You can ask, I think, up to 2 or 3 questions. I would recommend just one, and again, if it's relevant. So in the questions, you can choose by the industry that you work in, whether it's auto, business, demographic, education, general, insurance, jobs, real estate, retail, technology, transportation, and travel. So if we take the general example, which product are you interested in? Maybe you're advertising about different offers. So you can just click here and ask people, which product are you interested in? So we can know which department will take care of that, or how people will address you when they contact you. And then here you have two options. Either you let people type the answer, and it would be a short answer, or you give them multiple choice. Usually multiple choice is better because they just have to click, they don't have to enter anything manually. So you put option 1 and option 2, and then you can put option 3 depending on what you have, what you're advertising, what you need. So it will appear here, and when you look here, you see the box that you have to tick, which is all about GDPR, basically saying that they will take care of your data. They will process it just for
this specific purpose, or for the purpose of this specific campaign.
Exactly. So in total, you should have one question, the first and last name, and either the phone number or address or email. They would have to then click here. And this is something that you can put here. So here you would have the data protection URL on your website. And when you click here, it would lend you, or at least here, if the person, exactly, their privacy policy. So this link that you put here, this URL, it will appear here for people to see what is your policy about data protection. So this part is done. Then you would click on continue.
You probably have to add the .com in the policy URL for Google to approve it.
And continue. And then you have your thank you message. So thank you for your trust, or anything like that. And then
I guess it might also make sense to let the user know in what time frame should they expect to get a call back, or an email, or whatever they signed up for.
So here in the post submit headline, you have 25 characters. So usually it would be thank you. And then here, for example, what they recommend would be, we'll contact you soon. Or we'll get back to you within, I was going to say 48 hours, but it's too long. We'll
call
get back to you
We'll call you within 48 hours. Or
we'll call you soon.
Back to you soon.
Or we'll get back to you soon. So you just finish your form. Here you can see all the steps, what it would look like, and here it would be your video running, and basically they would just click on the headline to display the form. So then here is something that you have specifically to YouTube. You don't have it in Discovery, and the system is asking you, what kind of user do you want to target? Is it the super high intent, or do you just want a lot of volume? I would recommend going for higher intent, because I've gone for higher intent and I have very low volumes, but they converted really well. So I didn't have a lot of lead form that were completed, but the ones that were, they converted into high quality leads. You don't want to have a lot of volume, because then, especially if you generate a lot and your call center or the people treating all these leads are in a limited number, it will just not work.
So cost effective.
Exactly. I would recommend targeting less people, but making sure that they have a higher intent. Because again, in search, you only show your ads to people looking for you. In YouTube, in Discovery, in Gmail, you can target anyone. So you want to make sure that you're really targeting people that have generally had some kind of interest in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just wasting money. You're targeting users here and there, and the conversion rates would be super low. Another thing that you have to decide internally is, how do you want to collect the leads? Do you want to do it manually, so you would just download the leads from the platform? Or do you want to use a webhook, and then you would automatically collect or receive a notification once the leads have been processed? So this is something you can do. If you want to do it manually, you don't have to tick anywhere. If you want to use a webhook, you just click here and you put the URL. You should receive a key, and then you just click on send test data to make sure that it's working correctly. And if you don't have a webhook, then you can use Zapier, which is one of the many platforms that uses this format, and it's the one recommended by Google.
So for those viewers that don't necessarily know what's a webhook, can you just quickly explain what it actually does?
So you would use a webhook if you don't want to manually go and download the leads. It's just a simple way to link your lead form data to whatever customer data management system you have. And also the data is processed in real time. So usually in my case, because I do it manually, every morning I would have to go and download the data, but maybe the data comes from yesterday morning. So there's a lot of time that passed in between. With a webhook, the CRM team or whoever manages the customer data can receive the data in real time. So again, this is very important because the quicker you call the people, the better it is. They don't have time to forget about you. They don't have time to look around. If you call them as soon as they give you their number, or if you contact them as soon as they give you their data, then you have a higher chance to convert them into an actual qualified lead and to make a sale. So I would personally recommend using a webhook because it's a real-time saver and it also allows the process to go just smoother.
For sure.
So now that we've spoken about webhooks, the very last thing before you can create your campaign is to make sure that you've read every single term here about lead forms. In my case, because I've already created lead forms in this account, I don't need to do it again. Everything was already agreed to, but if it's your first time, you will have this message popping up before you can even start creating the lead form. So you have to agree that you won't sell this data to third parties and you will use this data responsibly and you will only use it for what it's meant to, so in this campaign specifically. So now I can add it to the campaign and basically the campaign will only start running once the lead form is approved. So usually a normal campaign would be approved very quickly, but here because it includes a lead form, the system will take a bit longer to process it. So if your campaign ends tomorrow, don't launch it today. So you can allow a good 12 to 24 hours for Google to review your lead form and your campaign settings and for your ads to start running. As for the rest of the campaign setup, it's very basic. It's like any other campaign that you would have. In this case, it would look a lot like True for Action campaign. So here, because you've said that you wanted to generate leads, you will have only these two options. Either you have target CPA or maximize conversions. If it's your first time, I would go for maximize conversions because you don't know how much your conversions will cost. So just go for let's try and generate as much as possible. And then in your second or third month, once you see more or less how much your conversions cost, then you could go for a target CPA. If you're spending too much, then you could reduce it. Otherwise, you could increase it. But if it's your first time, I would go for maximize conversions. So here is where you would create your ad. So I've taken the example of Zselyke's latest video. So you would just add the link. It would show here what your ad would look like. And here you would put the final URL. So you always have the possibility for users to visit the website. So you can put a URL. So example.com. You can create a call to action. So this one you can customize. So let's say subscribe. And then your headline. So it's more or less, I would recommend using the same headlines in the form and in the normal ad. So this is a headline. Usually this one is longer. So headline. And then here you have a longer headline. So you have up to 90 characters to write something. So this is a long headline. Up to 70 characters to create your description. So this is a description. And this is what your ad would look like. So here we can see you have the video. Here you have the call to action, the long headline, the description. And this is also what you would see. However, this is not how users will see your ad because this is where they will see the form. But you still have to create it this way. You can either upload an image or have the algorithm generate it automatically. I would recommend just uploading an image just to be sure what comes up, because you can't see what the system, what Google puts there. And then you just choose a name for your ad and you create the campaign, which I'm not going to do right now. And basically that's how you create the YouTube campaign. So lead form ads. For discovery, it's pretty much the same thing. If we start from scratch. So for discovery, it's exactly the same process. You just click on leads. And here, instead of going for video, you would go for discovery. And then you would click on continue. You would choose your campaign name. You would choose your location and languages, what type of bidding strategy you want. And the form should be here. So in terms of form, you have exactly the same thing. You create the headlines, the business name, the description. What info do you want? You can ask the same questions. You put GDPR and data protection link. And then you have your thank you message where you can put the URL to visit your website or whatever offer you have. You can add a small description of up to 30 characters. And again, here you can choose if you use a webhook or not. And that's basically it, and you save. And basically this is what your ad would look like. Here you would have your business name, your headline, your description, the image that you chose to add, but this is something that you add when you create the actual ad. And they would see your image, your description, the different fields. They click on next. Here is to make sure that your business is agreeing with all the privacy policies. They click on submit, and this is what they would see, the thank you message and the option to visit the website. And in terms of setup, it's basically the same as all the others. So yeah, that's basically it in terms of implementation. I don't know if you have other questions.
No, Céline, thanks so much. I think this was super helpful. And thank you so much for sharing that, because as I said before, I think a lot of advertisers don't quite yet have access to all of this. So I think it's very interesting to see. And I guess it just like summarize all of this that we have talked about in these past 3 videos. I would personally recommend for any advertiser that yes, lead forms are great, but I would look at it as a part of a wholesale marketing strategy. So make sure that all the other aspects of your other campaigns are also on point, are working well. And as we talked also in the first video, these are ideally very much towards the end of your conversion funnel. So you need to also give time for the users to get acquainted with your brand and make sure that they know that this is what they want. And once they're in the point that they're ready to give their data and get in touch with you and know more about you, this is when you should use your lead form ad, right?
Exactly. Don't use lead form ads if what you want is to get known. Use lead form ads when you already know that you have an audience and people and users who are interested in your brand or in your product and your services, and basically just show them the form as a way to convert faster. So as a conclusion, you want to make sure that you have a good and strong awareness strategy in place before you can even think of lead form ads. Lead form ads is really the last step before you convert your users into clients. Yeah.
I think that's a great conclusion. Thank you so much for being here with us, Céline. And yeah, this has been great, and I hope it was helpful for a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. See you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.